Namaste, angels. Thank you for joining. Please hit both the subscribe and the bell button if you'd like a chance to receive notifications that I've posted up a new video. We got to try to get at it from every angle because many of you have difficulty. Unfortunately, YouTube does not send them out. So for the best chance to get the notification, please make sure you've hit both buttons, the subscribe button and the bell button. Some of you who may already be subscribed, if you have not been receiving your notifications, doesn't hurt to every now and then check to make sure that it's all still checked off, because some people have found that they've fallen off. I've even had people ask me like if I like remove them, and I said, no, like I don't even think I can do that. I'm not sure. I've never looked into it, but I certainly have not removed anybody. So if you fell off, you fell off. It's a YouTube thing. And please do come back on, jump back on. All right, this is going to be the full moon in Cancer reading, the full wolf moon. We're going to get right into it, beginning with the Farmer's Almanac, which is the way I like to begin all my full moon readings, going back to the original way that, you know, they used to be determined on what day it was going to arrive and all that kind of stuff. So, full moon in Cancer. Look skyward on the night of Friday, January 10th, 2020. So it's basically 222 to spot the first full moon of the year, the shining full wolf moon. The full moon will rise from the horizon around sunset that same day. January's full moon will reach peak fullness, meaning 100% of its face will be illuminated at 2:21 p.m. So we missed that second 222 by just 1 minute. Doesn't that suck? That's going to happen on the 10th, but it will not appear in the sky until later that day. Also, we will experience a penumbral lunar eclipse on January 10th. Along with January's full moon comes this eclipse, which occurs when the moon passes through Earth's faint outer shadow, the penumbra. During the penumbral lunar eclipse, the full moon appears marginally darker than usual, though the effect is so slight that it can be difficult to recognize. This makes for far less spectacular show than that of the partial lunar eclipse, when a large chunk of the moon is significantly darkened, or the total lunar eclipse, when the entire moon is obscured and turns a deep red color. This eclipse is visible from all of Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, as well as parts of North and South America. In North America, it is only visible in Alaska, eastern Maine, Greenland, and parts of northern and eastern Canada. The eclipse will last approximately 4 hours, with the moon entering the penumbra at 12:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:06 a.m. AKST time, and leaving it at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 12:14 p.m. AKST time. I guess that's Alaska Standard Time. I'm not sure what AKST time is, honestly. In any case, in eastern North America, the moon will be below the horizon during most of the eclipse. So be sure to check when the moon rises in your area prior to the eclipse. If you know, showing in an area where you live and you want to see it, check out the time in advance. Why is this moon called the full wolf moon? The full moon names we use in the Farmer's Almanac come from a number of sources, including Native American groups, colonial Americans, or other traditional North American names passed down through generations. Note that each full moon name was applied to the entire lunar month in which it occurred. The full moon for January was called the full wolf moon because wolves were more often heard at this time. It was traditionally thought that they howled due to hunger, but there is no evidence of this. However, wolves do tend to howl more often during winter months and generally howl to define territory, locate pack members, and to gather for hunting. In addition, Native American cultures typically hold a lot of respect, not fear, for wolves, so this month's moon name should be viewed with that in mind too. I actually had a pet wolf when I was little, instead of a dog in South Carolina. Anyway, other traditional names for the January moon include the cold moon, the old moon, and the great spirit moon. January full moon video is here for those who are interested in seeing that. They also let us know what days are best for planting. Those of you who do that, above ground crops should be planted on the 5th, 6th, 9th, 27th, and 28th. Below ground crops on the 18th and 19th. If you are fortunate enough to have your own eggs and be able to set out eggs, this should be done on the 6th, 7th, 16th, and 17th. The best days for fishing are the 1st through the 10th and the 24th through the 31st. A bright first moon promises rain and a bountiful harvest. A red tinted moon means a dry year. A growing moon and a flowing tide are lucky times to marry. A halo around the moon predicts wet or stormy weather. And that's the full moon. My personal feelings about this full moon in Cancer, the moon rules the sign of Cancer. And so, it's at home, right? Going full. And it's going full at 20 degrees. So, for me, it just stands out. That's another 2. 2s are about partnership. They are about duality. They are about faith. They are about balance. Some of us may be feeling particularly emotional about all of those areas in our life. Things involving the safety of our home, our family, our children. We may be doing very domestic things, like we find ourselves, working on the home a lot, maybe homemaking, as they say, cooking, gardening, like we just talked about, best days to plant and things. Also, we could be up and down. Our emotions, we may find that they're a little bit out of whack, more so than usual. Some of us are more emotional than others. I'm at least a double air sign. I'm actually more than that. So I'm not very emotional. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Like I said, I'm just demonstrating how some are more emotional than other people. But it's a good time to, again, work on relationships, especially with all these 2s, to express some compassion for people. Think Queen of Cups, right? So nurturing, very motherly, forgiving, not necessarily forgetting. That's up to a person, whether you want to release the memory altogether of different events and things, but we should at least be releasing any negative emotions that come up if we're able. So those are things like regret, resentment, pride, ego, jealousy, envy, the inability to forgive, resentment, all of these things we want to try to let go of if we can. If not, we could find ourselves getting kind of depressed during this full moon because we're thinking about these things too much and holding on to this pain. So much so, sometimes you can actually feel like your chest hurting. Doesn't mean you're having a heart attack or anything, but you can just feel like literal heartache when we get particularly emotional. And I just feel that could be coming up for some people. We just want to try to... I started saying something a long time ago, probably when I was a teenager. And I've actually seen it become sort of like a thing, with no evidence that, that I've been saying it forever, but I've seen it become sort of a thing as an adult over the past few years. But when I would be hurt by something, I would always say to people, they'd say, how do you, stay friends with your exes, for example. And I would always say, I'm not bitter. I'm better. After an experience, I'm better. I grow from it. I learn. I make mistakes. I know not to repeat them. I don't want to go through that again. So I'm a better person for it. And that's going to be really important right now. A mindset of that type. I'm not bitter. I'm better. And release any of this bitterness that some of you may be holding on to, because again, it can turn into depression is what I'm feeling. because it's about manifestation too, right? The number two is a major step in the process of manifestation. And the same way we can bring positive, energy and blessings, benefits toward ourselves through manifestation, we can bring negativity. So if that's where our mindset is, if our mindset is on the negative, that's what we're bringing ourselves, very, very potentially. And so I just see a possibility for that. Also, because I always tell you guys, the moon is a feminine energy, right? That I get a very strong, that's why I was just trying to choose my words before, because I didn't want to sound sexist. And then I was saying that certain things are feminine and certain things are not feminine. But that's why I went with domestic, because anybody can do it. But at the root, the reason we feel to do these things, it's a feminine energy. Whether like it or not, it is part of the feminine archetype to want to nurture, right? It's like sort of like the difference between nature and nurture. For men, masculine energy, it's part of your nature, to be out in nature, like the hunter-gatherer type. Whether you're female or male, right? The masculine archetype. The feminine archetype, it is very, very natural to nurture. So that's the difference. And I just feel like that's what's going to be coming up. Also, because it's a feminine energy, the moon and this Cancer full moon in particular, also very much connected to the female body largely. I mean, the male body too, but largely the female body. So like the male body in that some of the organs that this full moon may influence are shared by both sexes, right? So like the stomach, for example, the lymphatic system, we all have that. We all have breasts too, but we don't all have a womb. So that's one thing that's going to be specific to females. We don't all have ovaries. That's going to be specific to females. Vagina. So things could be coming up with this in this area too. Inclusive of, but not limited to, like very happy things. Well, depending upon what your plans are, like pregnancy, right? So that could be coming up, and it is not the best time. It's like recommended against any kind of surgery. I have these clients in India, and they really follow it. Well, actually, it's part of like Vedic practice to focus more on the moon than it is on the sun. Like, in this Western astrology, for example, we focus on the sun largely. And so in India, or at least my clients, a lot of them, they have these superstitions that have begun to get around, to the rest of us around the world. And so more and more you'll hear people saying that they don't want to have surgery on that date. So if you have one that's scheduled, I just, I don't think I've ever mentioned it before, but I've just been moved to mention it, that it's not really the best day. So I don't know if that's because I'm feeling something particular, but like I was saying, my clients in India, they are sure, like the father needed surgery. They, asked me to like meditate on what date would be good and get back to them, which I did. That was part of the things that we did together. But they like vehemently opposed to it. And I'm just getting that message for someone or someones. All right, so that's that. Let's get into the actual tarot cards now. Oh, first, I almost forgot to go over the list that I got ready here of the other things that are going to be happening simultaneous to this period where we're in the energy of the full moon. So full moon energy is believed, and lunar eclipse energy even longer. I was going to say full moon energy is believed to last probably like at least the entire month. Just sort of like what they were saying about the Native Americans. They believe the energy lasted for at least a month. I do my readings for like the 2-week period until the next major moon phase. So I go like full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon. But we could really be feeling the effects of it, you know, well after that. And a lunar eclipse, probably more like 6 months. But in this period of the 2 weeks, these are the other things that are going on. So again, beginning on January 10th at 2:21 p.m., the full moon and the penumbral lunar eclipse, 20 degrees Cancer. So again, that's a 2 as in partnership. Also on January 10th at 8:48 p.m., Uranus goes direct. Uranus, the ruler of the sign of Aquarius, which has been retrograde in Taurus. It was in Taurus, and then it went back to Aries for a little while and back into Taurus. It's going direct 2 degrees Taurus. You see all these 2s? So that's interesting. On January 12th at 11:59 a.m., Saturn will be conjunct Pluto, 22 degrees. Can you believe this? Also on January 13th at 1:39 p.m., Venus enters Pisces at 0 degrees. January 16th at 1:31 p.m., Mercury enters Aquarius, also at 0 degrees. January 17th at 7:58 a.m., the 3rd quarter moon, 26 degrees Libra. January 18th at 5:31 a.m., Pallas enters Capricorn at 0 degrees. And January 20th at 9:55 a.m., the sun enters Aquarius at 0 degrees. January 24th at 4:42 p.m., so it's 24442. Get this. The new moon in Aquarius occurs 4 degrees Aquarius 22. So it's just a bunch of 2 4s. This is January 24th. So that's the 2-4 at 4:42. So more of those 4s and 2s. 4 degrees 22 is the longitude. Isn't that crazy? So that's the next day. So this reading will go from, well, I'm going to post it as soon as possible. I'm recording it here on the 5th, but it covers the period of the focus, primarily let's say the 9th through the 23rd of January. So I have a couple decks out here, and I think they tell a story. First of all, I keep having this happen, like these cards that show up out of nowhere after I already pray and shuffle and burn incense and sage and whatnot. Then a card pops up out of nowhere. It's happened this time with the Wheel of Fortune, upright, thankfully. So I've just put it here for everyone to share as an added bonus. Reversal of fortune. And for the most part, or for the most people who may be affected by it, positive, right? Most of the time, we don't have long periods of, doing absolutely wonderful. We have longer periods of doing, mediocre or sometimes a little less than. And so when the Wheel of Fortune upright shows up, it means all that's turning around, and then all of a sudden a burst of good fortune. And especially with the activity of Jupiter right now, Jupiter about to enter a major transit too during this month in Capricorn. So I think it's meant to be upright. The Wheel of Fortune does represent the planet Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius, which it rules most directly, but is also connected to the fixed signs. So Leo, Aquarius. Remember, Uranus goes direct, so that could be impacted. Taurus, where Uranus is located. And did I say Leo? Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius. So those are that. Oh, that's that. Now, these cards, I promise you there was no method to this. I shuffled each deck and, I shuffled it again, shuffled them several times, mixed them up all kinds of ways, and then laid them here in an order that I realized afterwards told like a story. So the overall energy here for the Rider-Waite deck is the 4 of Cups upright. So this is some sort of opportunity being handed to us. We're not very interested in it. And it could be because we're just not interested. We're just like, I'm unimpressed by it. It could be because we don't notice it, because we're focused too much on other stuff. Remember I said you could be focusing too hard in an emotional way on certain things that, you know, to the point that you could even potentially get depressed, right? That may be like one is focused too much on these 3 cups, so they don't notice that this one comes in. That's a possibility. And one, because like we have 0 expectations. We have 0 like dreams, fantasies, goals. It's just more of like a really pessimistic mindset of nothing good ever happens to me, so why pay attention, you know? I'll just sit here under a tree, not looking at anything. And so we could potentially miss an opportunity. But an opportunity is coming here. Serapis Bay shows up in the next deck to say, don't ignore it. Don't miss it. Take it. Go, get up. Go now. Don't sit there anymore. Get up. Go now and take advantage of the opportunity. It's a risky opportunity, but it's worth it. 7 of Winter, 7 of Swords is what's with the 7 of Wands. Also upright right behind it is what's telling me that. Caution will help you to avoid the loss of valuables, including non-material resources, such as time or peace of mind. Be aware of the results of your actions as well as what others might be doing behind your back. It could be, you know, like this is the key. This moment right now is key in like your next steps. Maybe getting engaged, maybe in finding peace of mind, or making peace with something or someone. Could be like when you come into if you take this risk, you could be coming to some sort of abundance, material abundance with this coin here. So different things like that. And I didn't know, of course, the 7 of Wands was behind it, but I already felt that this was about taking a risk. Like if you're willing to take a risk, there's a reward at the end, right? There's a benefit. But now I really feel like that with the 7 of Spring or Wands behind it too. Be assertive, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone take away your personal power. Trust that your inner guidance is true and follow it completely. So this can mean 2 things too, because like this can be, the 7 of Swords can be about somebody wanting to take something away. I call it I say that it represents the energy of joy stealing. You know, it's about somebody wanting to take something from you, sometimes something, you know, tangible, physical. And this is saying, no, it's probably intangible in most cases. It's a decision you've made. It's, you know, a path you're wanting to walk. Don't let anybody deter you. Don't let anybody, you know, punk you. Don't let anybody change your mind. You don't want to change your mind. It's all of those things. Like, don't let anybody talk you out of going for it. If you receive guidance from ascended masters, your ancestors, angels, whatever it is, however you receive your messages, you've received that guidance and they're telling you to go. Don't let anything stop you if you've elected to, okay, I'm going to listen, I'm going to go. If you do, right, and you put forth dedicated effort, this is like the 8 of Pentacles. It's telling you, you will reap what you sow. You put in the work, you're going to get the outcome. And the next card is the Ace of Earth, or Ace of Pentacles upright. The inflow of abundance, a promising business venture, important documents or contracts. So those cards alone, I feel like told a story. And then there, with the butterfly deck, last but not least, support. So it's like you're not even alone. Again, there's ascended masters, your own ancestors, family members, friends, all kinds of different support systems also to help you through this, whatever the risk is and how it turns out in your life. All right, so on that note, move all of these out of the way and start with the butterfly deck. Divine being or couple, whether you're single, partnered, separation, whatever. Recent past, near future, masculine's higher self, blocks to individual or shared progress, what the feminine can do to help herself, what the masculine can do to help himself, what the universe would have each or both do to help themselves, but they also have to first affirm, because the universe wants to help us too with this particular thing. We have to like give it the okay. Say, yes, do help me, do support me. And the outcome. I feel like I just heard a howl just now, which wouldn't make much sense. But I've also been having this thing with dogs. I don't know if the rest of you guys are experiencing this too. It's been going on for about a week already, at least a week already. The first one was I was coming in my building through the garage, so some other people can come from the other direction from the lobby. Like I'm coming in this way, we meet here in the middle in the elevator bank where all the elevators are. So that happened. If somebody comes around, I come in this door, woman comes around this corner, and we're both in the elevator bank. She has a dog with a long leash. This big white, doesn't even look like a dog. I don't know what breed it was. It looked like a wolf, honestly, a big white wolf. It pulled away from her so hard, came right to me, sat down next to me, you know, and like waited for me to like pet her, her. That was the first time. In the bank, this guy walks in with a greyhound wearing a cashmere sweater. The dog I'm sitting down with a banker and my daughter, like doing an account for my daughter. The dog comes over to us, like drags the man over there. Same thing, sits by me. I'm petting the dog, talking to the dog. The guy starts talking to the banker, so, you know, in the meantime, so he's not just standing there twiddling his thumbs. There was also a Dalmatian, and I forget the other one, but it's just like, they're just like, you know, really tugging away from their owners to come to me. And I just thought I heard one. All right, I'm sorry. But that may be connected to this whole wolf moon thing. Divine being or couple. You are stronger than you know. So maybe this is also support and guidance, saying take that risk. Like if you're worried that you can't do it, no, you can. That's why Serapis Bay is recommending it, that you go now and do it. Recent past. Moving. Something began moving, whether it was metaphoric, in a metaphoric sense, and something intangible, or something physical began moving, and maybe you even physically moved, like from, you know, moved house or something, changed jobs. Masculine's higher self. Welcome to the new. Maybe new home, again, new job, new relationship, something that you moved to recently. Near future. The end of an era. I should have done those in opposite, in reverse. And normally I do this one first. After I do recent past, I do near future. So it would have been moving, near future, end of an era, then masculine's higher self, welcome the new. That, you know, but same outcome. Something is closing up in the near future, something is ending, and the masculine welcoming something new, perhaps connected to moving or the energy of moving. Blocks to individual or shared progress. Keep the faith. It's the twos. So twos, again, are about faith, and in the path to manifestation, right? There's 4 steps, at least as far as I'm concerned. The first is the words or the thoughts that we, you know, we think over ourselves. We speak out loud into the universe. We write down on paper, however you go about doing it. The 2 is having the faith that that thought, that thing we wrote down, that thing we spoke, is going to come true. And we have to hold on to that, because there's nothing that's showing us that it's going to come true. It's all about faith. It's all about our belief, all about our strength. And remember, you're stronger than you know, so you can make it come true. And then with 3, we begin to see this thing, you know, get legs, as they say, taking form. And then with 4, we have a solid foundation. It has 4 legs, right? So keep the faith. 2s. How the feminine can help herself, in addition to keeping the faith, or how she can help herself to keep the faith. Seeking and finding. Some of you are seeking and finding actual people, family members, perhaps. You know, you never met your siblings or your mother or your father. Maybe even your mate, you know, you feel connected to somebody, you're looking. Some of us are actually seeking people, is what I just got. But this could be anything in terms of like looking for answers, you know, looking for enlightenment, looking for growth, right? Seeking and finding. Looking for a new house. It could be something very tangible. You're moving, so you're looking for something. What the masculine can do to help himself. Grief work. Because something ended. Something ended. Something's gone. Or someone's gone. And you got to work your way through the grief, but also maintain the faith that things get better. Everything is temporary. Nothing stays the same. So, if something is not so great now, again, reversal of fortune comes soon and comes suddenly with the Wheel of Fortune energy. What we can do to help ourselves and what the universe even wants to help us with, but we have to first affirm because we have free will. Family changes. So like I said, somebody could be gone. We could have moved out from, a partner, our spouse, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. We could have moved out. So that's changes to our family. Somebody could be moving in. Our parents. We've been this the past couple full moon readings. There's been a lot of stuff about parents coming up. Our parents could have moved into like assisted living or something. We could have moved into our parents' home. There's all of these different aspects. But it's about working through whatever it is, whatever emotions, those emotions I said were going to come up surrounding family, right? Did my prediction already come true in the cards or what? Something is going on. And we're just going to work through the emotions and remain positive and keep the faith. And just like I said, remember that everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. And the outcome. Spiritual growth. Boom. Boom. That looks like everything I talked about before the reading. I want to keep it moving though, because you guys know I like to do multiple spreads. I wasn't going to do anything with the Rider-Waite deck, but why don't we do for each element your focus over the full moon period, individual focus. We got this overall energy of the Four of Cups, but why don't we do fire, earth, air, and water also. I guess I didn't have to put them face down. I could have just turned them. Oh, okay. Eight of Swords. So you're feeling stuck, trapped, the fire signs, feeling trapped in some sort of situation. You are not, right? You can be freed. With the Seven of Swords, I call it the energy of joy stealing. We have the potential of stealing our own joy too. And it is by, failing to take advantage of opportunities because we lack confidence, we lack esteem, we don't believe in ourselves. So that's where the Seven of Wands comes in to remind us all that we have the strength. And the Wands, that's your energy, right? That's your element. Swords is air. You are the wand. So that's Seven of Wands saying, listen, remember how confident, you are. Remember how strong you are, and you can handle anything. You can get yourself out of this situation that you feel stuck in by shaking off, doing a little shimmy, shaking off these stupid, bandages that are wrapped around you. And then you can pull this one off easily with your hand and, just walk away from these swords. It's like that easy, whatever it is you feel stuck in. That's potentially going to keep you away from an opportunity. If you take the risk and you do the work for the opportunity, but the result is Ace of Pentacles, right? Fire, earth. Four of Swords in reverse. Okay. This is, when the Four of Swords is upright, it's like you need a break from work, relationships. It could be anything. You need a break. When the Four of Swords is in reverse, you're kind of figuring out like what your next move is. So we'll get more into that. That's cool. Air signs. The Knight of Cups in reverse. Interesting. Somebody could have wanted to come back, or been expected to return. You expected them to come back and they haven't yet. But there's other stuff, there's positive stuff that comes with the Knight of Cups too, in reverse. And Water signs, the Hermit, Major Arcana card 9. You're the only ones that got a Major Arcana card. And, then, you know, like Cancer, this is your element. The moon is in your sign. And the Hermit represents the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, which we saw was pretty active during this 2-week period too. So that could be why it's showing up. Virgo is the mirror sign of Pisces, so water. That could be something that's going on there. And more importantly, it is about spiritual growth, right? It is about higher understanding, often of ourselves. It's about clarity, enlightenment. So again, either ourselves and or somebody else. We could be enlightening someone else, helping them to see the way, see the light. We could be both the teacher and the student in learning more about ourselves also. In addition to that, sometimes for me, the Hermit is like a lawyer or a teacher, a professor or something. So for some of us, it can be like an actual person that, you know, affects us in that way, is influential upon us in that way. So our overall energy, again, the 4 of Cups, we talked about it a bit, but, you know, just as a reminder before we go into the other ones, it's this card reminds us to, again, count your blessings, be thankful. It's the attitude of gratitude that helps us in that process of manifestation. And this card can be a lot of like, oh, woe is me, and, you know, wallowing in sorrow and pity, you know, to that whole self-pity and just like wasting away, missing out on life, missing opportunities, like, you know, so it largely has to do with our own focus and our own mindset, as I was mentioning before. And again, this is going to be a very emotional time for some of us. So, you know, just keep all of that in mind, that you got to remember to keep that positive mindset if you do want to bring things in and make good use of this like very strong manifestation energy that's been surrounding us for a while now. As it relates to love, same thing. It can be like we have tunnel vision. You have to ask yourself, you know, are you so focused on one outcome or one person or something that, you know, you're excluding all other possibilities and everyone else? If that's the case, you're focused on someone who isn't, you know, emotionally available or available, period, then you got to, you know, ask yourself why. And does it make sense for you to continue? And if you do decide to continue, because no judgment from me, the only thing to, you know, further remember is that, or mindset to keep, is that you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, it's okay to be patient and wait for somebody, you know, for love in a healthy way. To be like overly focused on somebody in a codependent way, like that's the only way I'm going to be able to find love or to have love is through this one outcome of one person. That's a different story. So just, you know, discern for yourself what it is you have going on and go from there. So further to that, specifically for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Again, the 8 of Swords upright is about a feeling of being stuck, like having no options. It's often connected to fear. And again, before I even did anything with the cards, that's what I was feeling from the 7 of Swords, like being afraid to take a risk, fear of the unknown. And that's largely what the moon itself is about, right? The need to pay attention to our intuition, because we don't know what's on the other side of something, but we're often guided to go now, like Serapis Bey was saying, and to proceed based on what our, you know, intuition is telling us, having no idea, you know, toward what we're going. But it's like, you know, your spirit is telling you, go, pursue, move on, do this, do that. And we're supposed to trust in that. Okay, so it's a very important time right now to trust in that. You can't be afraid of like losing. Like sometimes that's what it's afraid of. We're afraid of like losing. We're like, you know, what if it doesn't work out well? So you avoid everything. And that takes us back to our overall energy. right? Like I'll just avoid everything. I don't, nothing good ever happens. So I'm not, why should I engage? And again, that's how you bring that potentially negative stuff towards yourself. So if you don't want to do that, if you're getting guidance from, from wherever you get it, however your intuition works and your messages come in, be brave enough to follow it. And know that you can be brave enough to follow it based on the cards that we've seen. Like, again, that first row told the story of, yes, there could be something that's going to feel scary. It's going to feel like you're taking a major risk, but, stand your ground, basically. That's what the Seven of Swords and Seven of Wands together was about. In the context of love, similar to what I said about the Four of Cups, you could be, staying in a relationship or remaining focused on, a particular outcome or a particular person that isn't the right one for you. Because it's sort of like, well, anything is better than being single. And that's not true. That's not true. It's like, you're just settling to have something. Something is better than nothing. In some cases, depends what you're talking about. Not always, and probably not in terms of love. If you're not being treated properly, especially if something is toxic, if somebody's hurting you, abusing you in any way, even if it's not physical, if it's emotional, then, you can do better. You can do better. Remember, I'm not bitter. I'm better. Let that go. Don't be bitter about it. Let it go. You'll be better. You can move on to something else that's more, of which you're more worthy, and something that's more worthy, and someone that's more worthy of you. Allow your fortune to be reversed, right? Allow that reversal of fortune to come in. You have to let go of the thing that needs to end in order for the new thing to come in. My fellow air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I almost went right by Earth, Lord. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is yours, the Four of Swords in reverse. So again, I was talking about the Four of Swords upright before. When we see it, we know it's definitely time for a break, time for a rest. With the Four of Swords in reverse, it's still time for a break, it's time for a rest, but that time is like more immediately upon us, meaning it'll be over sooner too. Like, when it's upright, you're thinking, should I fall back from this? Do I need to go on vacation? That's when you start planning. When it's in reverse, you're exhausted already. You're already past that planning stage of, or should I, would I, could I? No, I'm tired. I'm tired of whatever it is. So again, it could be work. It could be friendships. It could be other relationships, even your romantic interests. It could be just about anything. You are just tired. You are just exhausted. Something has wore itself out. You've worn yourself out, but something has like worn out its welcome with you too, potentially. You can even be feeling like alone because it's just like, if I spend time around other people, I don't get to be tired. I don't get to feel the way that I do. So I got to be by myself. I got to isolate myself so that I can even deal with this and feel this. And good, because, the other spread said we got to work through, especially the grief work, right? For the masculine archetypes, we got to work through these emotions. So if you feel that you need to be by yourself, that's a positive thing. If you need to actually sleep, because for some, this is like physical rest is needed. Do that, whenever you're able. Some may be actually working too hard, especially with all the Capricorn energy. Capricorn, the workhorse of the zodiac, you could be working too hard. And this is your, we're talking about your team right now, your element, those earth signs. So, you guys are super dedicated and committed. You could be wearing yourselves out just in a very literal sense in terms of work and everything. And some time off, if that's the case, some time off, if you can get it from work specifically, would help you, would do you some good. A day off, whatever. Less hours, maybe working too many hours. Cut it back a little bit. In terms of love, contrarily to the other things, in terms of love, this can mean that you may need to put more effort, and maybe we need to put more effort into your love life because you've been putting so much into work that's like you're out of balance, and your love life is suffering. If you're in a committed relationship, that would, potentially apply. But it's also important to remember that it could be your partner, maybe not you, maybe it's your partner who is particularly exhausted and, could be for similar reasons, could have something to do with their health or with their work as well. And that we need to not, take this personally, understand that there's something going on with them and support them, to the extent that we're able, and maybe, you know, take some time with them. If we can go on vacation together or take a break together, it could be a staycation at home, even if it's, again, if it's a few hours. It's a good time to like switch up any, you know, patterns and things, and to do something different to show that you are, you know, making a real effort toward your relationships. If you are single and looking, the Four of Swords in reverse can be about it being a good time for you to go online. And again, this as a reminder, Uranus, the planet that rules the sign of Aquarius, which is all about like not only communication, but like sort of online communication. So online dating and texting and all that kind of stuff is in Taurus, Earth sign. So you guys may be like pretty heavily affected by that. Good time to try to meet people in groups online. So like Facebook groups, maybe even people are into that sort of thing. They have their own dating service now. Maybe that will work for some of you. I say all that, and meanwhile, I'm very much Aquarius, and I have no interest myself in online dating. Like I've never done it. I've never joined any groups, but that is the energy that's attached to that card in reverse as it relates to love for singles and to the sign of Aquarius. Now, I was getting ahead of myself before, but now I can move to my fellow air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and the Knight of Cups in reverse. You know what? For maybe a change, a reversal of fortune, things are going pretty well for us, right? It's important that we prioritize, and this need to prioritize things came up for everybody in the general reading super, super heavily. If you haven't seen that already, do check that out, of course. The general reading for this week, and then there'll be one for next week that should, you know, align and coincide with this pretty well too. The moon, the love reading, phenomenal. People are just really, really feeling connected to the energies that showed up in the love reading. So check that out too. But I talked about this need to prioritize. It came up very strongly in that reading. So yeah, things are going well, but you know, don't sit on your laurels, as they say. You got stuff to do. You got to keep your things in order, keep things moving. In terms of love, it's very positive, just like the Knight of Cups upright. And it can mean that if you're single, you know, those of us who are single, not only can we be meeting somebody very, very soon, but it can be that sweep you off your feet sort of thing. So fast that you may need a break. It's here crossing the Four of Swords. You may need a break. You may feel tired. You know, it could exhaust you. Like, whoa, my head's spinning. I need a moment to like adjust, you know, to get used to this. I'm not used to being wined and dined and all of that. I've had it happen once, and even then, I'm still not sure if I could say I'm used to it now. But I've had it happen once, where literally a man I met asked me the day that I met him if anybody was treating me like a queen, and even that gave me pause. I was just like, huh? And I said, I guess not. And he said, well, I'm about to, and you know, hell if he didn't. It's that sort of thing. I mean, you know, just really coming in, and you got to be open to receiving. And you know what? I posted something on my Facebook the other day. Oh, okay. I remember what it was. I was watching a fellow YouTube reader. This guy, Soul. I think he spells it S-O-L, like soul, like the sun. Don't quote me. I'm not positive. I don't watch him. It's been weird. Like over the past few months, every now and then he comes up. And when he's come up, we've just found out each time more and more we have in common. It's very, very funny. So we went like to the same college, it turns out, and HSBC. That's a big HCBU. HBCU. Historically Black college or university. We both went to the same one in Pennsylvania, Lincoln U. We both majored in biology. I'm older though, so we didn't go to school at the same time. We didn't go to school together. But we both majored in biology there. So that's pretty funny to both end up on YouTube, and we majored in science. So that's one thing. I think he's a Cancer. So this would be affecting him heavily too with this Cancer moon. But he's a Gemini moon or Gemini rising, one or the other. And then the other one is Aquarius. He's an Aquarius moon or Aquarius rising. So I'm a Gemini sun and an Aquarius moon. So we have those two signs in common too. It's just really kind of creepy if you think about it, you know, like, or freaky, you know, creepy in a freaky sense. But anyway, I was watching him, and he was talking about and showing us that one of his clients had bought him like 6, 7, new tarot decks. Very, very nice for the holidays. And so he was opening them and showing them and everything and saying about how touched he was and, how he's not used to receiving. He doesn't do necessarily so well with receiving. And somebody commented, you must be an Aquarius. So again, he is an Aquarius moon or an Aquarius rising or something. And I said, like I never thought about it, but it's so, so true. We're just used to, we're givers, we're doers, we're save the worlders, but not necessarily receivers. So this is something you're going to have to open yourself up to Aquarians and other air signs. Gemini, you don't do so well at it either. And Libra, at least you guys are more about balance and stuff. So you may do a little better with it. If you give me, I got to give you like balance in that sense, but it's coming. It's coming in love for those of you who are single. For those of you who are already partnered, then you can usually expect, it to be kicked up a notch. Both people, feeling just really super emotionally fulfilled. And sometimes, okay, how the zodiac signs, they have positive traits, they have negative traits, or sometimes something can go so far positive to the point that it becomes negative. That's the only thing we got to watch out with this. If we're partnered already, we can become so emotionally overwhelmed by the relationship and what it requires to keep it going that we can feel exhausted. We can feel tired. So, but anything that happens like that can be worked out if both partners are willing to put in the work and work it out. So it's going to, air signs, we're all about communication. You're going to have to communicate to each other, share your feelings, figure it out. If anybody's feeling stuck in the relationship, like they want out, know that, you're not, and you can leave if you feel you need to leave. Again, it's going to take that balance. It's going to take both people to put the effort towards saving anything that needs to be saved, for whomever that applies, that you get so overwhelmed by the demands in your relationship that it becomes too much. And that takes us to the water signs, the stars, the feature element of this moon. So the Hermit in reverse, most of us are pretty familiar with it in a general sense. Again, it denotes strength. So to go back to that other card from the last spread, you're stronger than you know. The Hermit is about strength too, although it doesn't, necessarily look like it. But because it's such a spiritual card, so it's strength in that sense. Again, the ability to forgive. I understand. I am enlightened. I get it. It's one of those sort of things. You're like this higher level. And so that's how you're able to, be so diplomatic and see all sides of a situation. And I posted something like that on my Facebook recently too. And I was talking about how it, applies to the air signs, because we, especially like Gemini, we are really good at separating ourselves from a situation and seeing everybody else's perspective. Like even if it doesn't align with our own and it doesn't benefit us, we're still able to see and understand why people move the way they do, because, we're able to see those perspectives. And, it came up that Pisces is good at seeing it too. And so, the only difference is you guys, we're said to not have any feelings. You guys have feelings. So you might be able to see everybody's perspective, but that doesn't mean you're not like hurt by someone behaving one way or another, or you're not made to feel particularly good by somebody behaving one way or another, whereas we might be more indifferent, either way. Sorry, I thought I heard something again. You may need to be still, okay? With this especially with this Four of Swords in reverse sitting atop your card, I feel a bunch of you need to be still. You are exhausted, could be emotionally exhausted, spiritually exhausted. Rest your spirit. Be still. In the silence, you're going to receive information. You're going to receive messages. You are naturally very intuitive as a water sign. You are naturally very empathic. Right? Feeling of your emotions, other people's emotions as a water sign, in touch with these things. And that can be overwhelming too. It get to be too much, especially at this very emotional period. I've already been feeling that for this period, it's going to be particularly emotional for everybody. So since you already have it from a natural standpoint, more so for you guys, and maybe the most for the sign of Cancer, it is going to behoove you to take a break if you are feeling exhausted in any way. And in that silence, in that stillness, you will be having epiphanies, revelations, come into some sort of enlightenment, learn something new about yourself. And then you'll know how to proceed and move in the different aspects of your life. Specifically as it relates to love, something from the past might get sparked back up. You're going to have to decide, of course, whether you want it to. You know, if you're interested in that. Sometimes if you're already in a relationship and the Hermit shows up for love, it can mean like you guys are going in two different places. So again, maybe one's exhausted, maybe the other is not. Maybe one, is more focused on work right now. One is, not so much. Maybe one is feeling trapped and the other isn't. And sometimes we grow apart because we grow spiritually. One is experiencing some serious ascension, the other's not. And then next, we find ourselves literally, like they say, well, it's like we're on two different planets. It's like we're in two different dimensions. You are in two different dimensions in a very literal sense. If your dimensional reality, your vibration, your frequency doesn't align in any way, right? Then that's what's happening. So, you're going to just need to decide what you, where you're going from there, what's happening from there. But some of you, whether you're in a relationship or not, could be also somebody from the past could be trying to return. That's what the Hermit can mean on its own. But also sitting here next to this Knight of Cups, the Knight of Cups for me can definitely be about, somebody returning to your life. That may be who swoops you off your feet, perhaps very unexpectedly. So because this is a court card, maybe a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio is particularly influential upon you during this period. Then that applies to anybody here. Or a Virgo. I'm also being reminded about the seeking and finding card with the Hermit. Very much so. So that was for the feminine archetype, I think. So maybe specifically, or more so at least, for feminine water signs, you're going to be in this, experiencing this seeking and finding, looking for answers, clarity, or again, like I said, maybe even something tangible, actually looking for something or someone and locating it. Maybe something that was gone before is returning, or somebody that has been gone from before is returning to you. And that could be the seeking and finding as well. Now, let's do some advice. I had no idea how I was going to do this reading when I sat here. I just pulled out all these decks. But I think in the interest of time, which is also why I didn't cover all the areas that these cards, what they could mean in every aspect of your life. I just did the general and the love. But, in the general and love readings that come up for the week also, I'll still be doing those. And I've already done them for this week. So that you'll get more detail about the cards and, what it can mean for your sign or element there too. So again, you can check out, okay, I'll let everybody see what those were. You can check out the general and or love reading as well. Okay, two cards just like committed suicide. They are the Major Arcana card 6, the Lovers. True and long-lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. I think, when cards just jump out like that, I tend to think they're for everybody, but I'm going to say especially the air signs, and of the air signs, especially Gemini, because Major Arcana card 6 represents the sign of Gemini. And we have the Knight of Cups here with this being swept off of our feet. It's like the real deal when it comes into. So just because it's so amazing, don't think it's bullshit. You know how sometimes we do that, like this is too good to be true? It's the real deal. And it's because you deserve it. You've been patient. You've been waiting for it, for the, what is meant for you to show up in your life. And here it is. The planning, resources, and efforts that you've invested in your dream will reap great rewards. In the meantime, have patience and meditate on your next steps. So that too is for everybody. But in terms of love, it can mean like you're finally bringing this thing in, after manifesting it. So further to that, specifically for the masculine archetype from the Animal Tarot. Ooh, the 5 of Autumn. This is not one of my favorites. This one is about fear. It's like this. Maybe this is why you're feeling trapped, because you have fear of abandonment, fear of commitment, fear of, again, the unknown, the future, fear of success. That one comes up sometimes in my readings. I feel that. This can be fear of lack, fear of void. Doesn't mean you actually are lacking something, just worried that you might. And so in the meantime, you're going to bring yourself down and then put yourself at risk of actually manifesting negativity and lack into your life, because that's where your focus is. So this is really a card that it shows up as a warning to say, fix your mindset. Focusing upon the negative or worrying about money or your career or your relationships and things too can block your progress. Because your trust and faith are at a low point right now, it's not the best time to start your own business or to become self-employed. So not until you fix your headspace, get your mind right. Feminine, the 8 of Summer. You feel that there's more to life than what you're living. So it's time to move on. I feel like this could be especially for the water signs. Again, maybe the more so the water sign feminine archetype. Again, you're in this very spiritual place. I need higher understanding, and that's what I feel this card is about, not necessarily so much of physically moving anywhere. So you feel that there's more to life than what you're living, so it's time to move on. You may be moving from a situation that isn't good for you, or perhaps you're being drawn to what would make you happy. Either way, you are in control. From the Angel Tarot, it's another 5 masculine. The 5 of Fire, competing goals, bothersome details, conflict with others. 5 of Fire for me, when it is about conflict, is usually about one being conflicted. So it's like internal conflict and turmoil, or close friends and or family, including like, our spouse, our exes, our children's other parent. All of those things are considered, family and or close friends for me in that grouping. Also, though, on a more positive note, 5 of Fire can be a card of like, by any means necessary, go for it. So I think that for a bunch of you, that's what this is. It's saying like, chuck this fear and go for what you know. Follow that guidance, again, your intuition. Feminine, for us, Major Arcana card Strength. And didn't I talk about this being about strength largely too? And it's not something I usually say actually, but I was just, feeling it coming out today. So Major Arcana card Strength represents the sign of Leo. A Leo could be particularly significant for you over this period, perhaps. A great inner strength. Release harsh judgments. Instead, try some forgiveness and compassion, which is also something I talked about at the beginning of the reading. Follow your heart, says St. Francis to the masculine. So he too is telling you to chuck this fear, right, and the negative thoughts, and do what your heart is telling you to do. Your heart, your spirit, your intuition, all of the above. Go with that. Feminine, father, husband, brother, son, Osiris. So there is a masculine energy in your life. It could be your own inner masculine, because again, this is a very heavily feminine time with the moon in Cancer, no less. The moon being very, very feminine, Cancer being very, very feminine. So it could be your own inner masculine with which you need to get in touch, or, could be a masculine archetype in your life, maybe even specifically a male, could be very, very literally your father, husband, brother, or son. The relationship needs healing. Maybe this is who needs forgiveness and compassion. Maybe this is who from whom you need forgiveness and compassion. And now's the time to seek it, and find it, right? You have the strength to do that. Maybe you need to literally seek and find your father, your brother, your son. Like I said, I was feeling that earlier too, about people being separated from family members, particularly the feminine, and, very literally seeking and finding people. Masculine, take the next step now. All of your cards are sort of like, listen, follow the guidance and go. Do this now. Yeah, take the next step now, says the butterfly deck. For the feminine, hobbies. Hobbies. Maybe for when you're being still. Like this is another way you can spend time with you. It's very hermit. I'm also getting that some people have an opportunity to change this hobby into like an actual job. Whatever their hobby is. And masculine, it's another 5. How many 5s did you guys get? Like 3 of them, right? Yeah, this is a 5. Then you had the 5 of autumn or pentacles and the 5 of fire or wands. Altogether, they equal 6, equals love and the lovers. And maybe that's what you need to speak up about to your lover or to your love or about your love. Maybe you need to express your love. But whatever it is, throat chakra is coming up because there's something that needs to be said by you, masculine. And this has to be cleared in order for you to say it. You know what? I'll read what the book has to say about throat chakra. And lastly, feminine, the 4, joy and stability. This is like a 4 of wands kind of card. So this is the last step in that manifestation. This is the solid foundations. This is what you're building toward. So very nice outcome for us. Let's check out what the throat chakra is about. Throat chakra is very air signy too. So again, there's something significant about an air sign. And maybe specifically air and water relationships. I don't know. And maybe, again, even more specifically, something very much in store for Gemini. But the throat chakra is about all the air signs. It's about communication. So, again, that's all the air signs. All right, from the book. Throat chakra. Card number 5. Key facts. Color, blue. Sound, hum. Element, sound. So, that's, again, the air or swords. It's communication. Gland, thyroid. Keywords, I speak. So this is about speaking your truth, masculine. Located in the throat area, this chakra is associated with communication, sound, creativity, and the ability of clairaudience, inner hearing. So you may also be hearing things that are other messages to you for you to pay attention to too. The same way we see or experience synchronicities, you could be hearing sounds. Like I just thought I heard hounds or wolves or something, some sort of howling. Perhaps I did. Through clairaudience. That's something I'm going to have to maybe think on, meditate on after I finish the reading. But that's what clairaudience is about. Many artists, speakers, writers, singers, and others in the creative arts have active throat chakras. To activate your throat chakra, use your voice in some way. Sing, chant, hum, laugh, make some noise. Energizing this chakra helps you to speak your truth, told ya, and in a clear and kind manner, improving your relationships and increasing your sense of well-being. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the moon reading. I'll be back. please do consider subscribing if you're not yet a subscriber by, again, hitting both the subscribe and the bell button. If you liked the video and or found that it, helped you in some way, please actually like the video by giving it the thumbs up, hitting that like button. And if you are interested in any services from me, personal, private readings, energy healing, merchandise, or just to be my friend even, all the information to do any and all of that will be in the description box below. Namaste, guys.